Hi, and welcome to Video Games Revisited. Today, we're going to be playing Combat on the Atari 2600. Combat was a launch title for the 2600 and came boxed with the system for 5 years, right up until 1982. The game itself is based upon two earlier arcade games also published by Atari, Tank and Anti-Aircraft 2. It's two-player only and comprises of 27 different game modes in which you control tanks, biplanes and jets. In all of these game modes, the idea is to use your vehicle to take down the opposing player, and points are awarded for each kill. In game modes 1 to 14, you control the tanks. Unsurprisingly, these tanks move rather slowly, and modern gamers may find this mode just a little bit dull. Thankfully, the 14 game modes are incredibly varied, and feature a series of different mazes, both open and with lots of cover, and different modes of fire including straight shots, guided missiles, and what the game refers to as tank pong, which simply means you can bounce your shots off of solid objects to hit your player, but depending on which game mode you're playing, you may actually have to bounce your shots if you want them to kill the opponent, which is a nice little touch. The Atari 2600 trademark of an invisible variation is also included, which essentially means your tank is invisible to the other player, apart from momentarily after you fired a shot. Now normally I'm not a fan of invisible game modes, but in this instance it adds a nice element of strategy to the game, as you attempt to evade and outthink your opponent, and is genuinely fun to play, rather than making the game mode almost unplayable and rather frustrating like we've seen previously. In game modes 15 to 20, you control biplanes, which handle a lot differently to the tanks as they're speedier and a lot more agile. You can even use the joystick to speed up and slow down, but I find slowing down is generally a surefire way to get yourself killed. As you're controlling planes in this game mode, there are no barriers and mazes in place, and instead you're given cloud cover in a completely open sky. In fact, if you fly off one side of the screen, you'll immediately reappear on the other side, which changes the style of gameplay substantially, as you don't just have to concern yourself with where your enemy is, but you also have to be wary of shots being fired off one side of the screen that'll approach you from an unexpected angle and kill you that way. Straight and guided shots also make a reappearance, but due to the lack of barriers, a tank pong style mode is absent and instead replaced with rapid fire from the plane's machine guns. This makes the game feel a lot faster paced, and dodging a whole spray of bullets fired at you obviously requires a much different strategy to one shot fired every couple seconds. As far as variations in the style of play go, Biplanes introduces the use of two planes flying in tandem, and also a 3 versus 1 mode where one player will control 3 biplanes and the other will control a large bomber. Now in my opinion this mode is slightly unbalanced, as the 3 planes obviously provide quite a lot of firepower for this massive hulking plane to avoid, and I find generally when I play this mode I always lose no matter who the opponent. In game modes 21 to 27, you control the jets, which yet again are faster and more agile than all of the other vehicles, and are a lot of fun to play, and whilst they have straight and guided shots, for some reason there's no rapid fire. In all honesty, the jet game modes are otherwise quite similar to those presented to you with the biplanes, with the exception of the rather interesting 3 versus 1, in which you'll find all of the planes are the same size, and even though the odds are quite heavily stacked against this single plane, I find this mode remains quite balanced, as even though the 3 planes carry a lot more firepower, they still demand a lot of skill as their target is so very small. In conclusion, Combat is a great and varied game, and the variety of gameplay presented here is really astonishing for the time. With a mix of different maps, fire modes and different styles of gameplay, you're sure to find something here that you'll like. And rather shockingly, across all 27 game modes, the quality is fairly consistent, rather than the mixed bag you come to expect from games that sport so many different modes. In addition, the vehicles genuinely feel different and aren't just different aesthetically. And with this much variety and this much innovation, it really is a title that should be in everybody's 2600 collection, and with the amount of cartridges floating around as a result of it coming boxed with the system, that really shouldn't be a problem for any gamer. But that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you next time. Take care.